Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless. Streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, Seattle numbers are showing people ain't coming to the World Cup. How bad is this going to be? But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
When I read you this press release about Los Angeles, I want you to think to yourself if the same thing could happen here in Seattle. And I'll tell you why. The Department of Housing and Urban Development gives out millions, if not billions of dollars to assist with things like homelessness, drug treatment, rent stability, things of that nature that make the downtrodden of our society, the unfortunate of our society, have a chance to get better. However, a lot of people have figured out the grift, which is if we have a problem that we don't actually solve, they will keep funding it for the rest of time, and they will keep increasing said funding, claiming if you just give us more money, we're going to make things better. What happens every single time since they declared a homelessness emergency in Seattle, in King County, in Washington State, since any of that happened, the problem has gotten exponentially worse as they've spent exponentially more money. But today, the Department of Housing and Urban Development cut off funding to Homeless Inc. in Los Angeles. Not because it's not working, but because it's fraudulent and not working. This is the same stuff we see here all the time. Now, I've got a way this actually attaches back to Seattle here, but follow me for a second. This is what the press release says. Following the HUD Office of Inspector General opening an investigation, Secretary Scott Turner today announced the immediate suspension of the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority, the lead agency for Los Angeles homelessness response. HUD has uncovered evidence of their repeated false statements and irresponsible actions and failures, including its lack of financial management, internal controls, safeguards against conflicts of interests, which pose a threat to the public, HUD's mission, and stewardship of taxpayer dollars. Full stop right there. Before we go anywhere else, King County Regional Homelessness Authority cannot account for millions of dollars that they will admit to. They have poured millions of dollars into the crisis here and has only gotten exponentially worse. This is an agency which has been plagued with scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal. And the latest development is, after all this fraud is revealed, we had Reagan Dunn on the show, King County council member, and we said, is there fraud? And he said, of course there's fraud. King County council member Reagan Dunn says, of course there's fraud, and he's been warning about it for years. So what are they supposed to do? Gurmay Zahalai, the King County executive, and Seattle's Marxist mayor, Katie Wilson, they're supposed to decide what's the next path for the King County Regional Homeless Authority. What have they decided so far? Katie Wilson said, I yield over to Gurmay. I'm going to do whatever he wants, because if I had an original thought in my head, it would die of loneliness. So she just says, Gurmay, you got this. You got this, right? So his press release comes out first, and hers just goes, what he said. That's almost literally what her press release was. I should really put them side by side. He says, well, here's what we're going to do. We are going to make sure we put our own auditor in at the King County Regional Homeless Authority. Wait. Gurmay, Bubby, hang on a second here, dude. You were a King County council member for years. You helped let it get this bad. So now we're supposed to trust you that you're going to fix it? I'm sorry, I don't believe you. And here's something else. Why keep trying to save this failing, corrupt agency? Corrupt by your own admission. Incompetent by your own admission. Oh, because otherwise then the grift ends. Because otherwise we got to lay off all these people earning these massive salaries to accomplish absolutely nothing. In fact, make things worse. If you have a car and you bring it to the mechanic and he says he can't fix it, what do you do? What do? You get a new mechanic, right? Or you get a new car. You don't say, you just keep working on it and you'll figure it out eventually. You'll figure it out, right?
That's unless you buy a Saab.
Right. Inside joke, friends. That's a little bit of an inside joke around here. Zach is 100% right.
No, tomorrow, ask Kevin about his Saab.
We'll ask Mr. KVI himself about his Saab problems. Sounds like it's been a bit of an odyssey. Oh, no, wait. That's a different company that makes the Odyssey.
Kind of a Saab story.
Oh, very good. I was searching for it on the tip of my tongue. Zach got there before I did. But HUD is now cutting off LA's Homeless Inc. of federal funds. Now, here's what's going to happen. I haven't seen the reaction yet, but any second now, Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass are going to come out there and go, but Trump. Not, oh, we failed miserably. Exactly. That's the press conference it's going to be. All we need is the Peanuts music in the background. That's what's going to be. Trump, wop, 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 wop. That's what's going to be. Because that's all they got. Karen Bass is being interviewed, and they say, well, you promised to fix the homeless problem, and you haven't fixed the homeless problem. And she goes, well, that's why I'm ready to do it in the next term, because I know what doesn't work. Oh, we're going to do this by process of elimination? At what point do we say we are funding our own demise, we are funding our own failures? According to the press release from HUD, the Los Angeles Continuum of Care, led by the Los Angeles Homeless Agency, Homeless Service Authority, has received nearly $1 billion in taxpayer dollars over the last 5 years. Despite receiving more federal homelessness funding than any other jurisdiction in the nation, Los Angeles remains the epicenter of the nation's drug-fueled homelessness crisis. Secretary Scott Turner, friend of the show, said under President Trump's leadership, HUD will find results, not corrupt failure, or the homeless industrial complex. Year after year, hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars were funneled into this agency with little accountability. Meanwhile, homelessness skyrocketed. Taxpayers will no longer bankroll an organization that puts its own self-interest ahead of Americans it was created to serve. Doesn't that sound exactly like Seattle? Doesn't that sound exactly like King County? Doesn't that sound exactly like Washington State? Scott Brady, the White House Task Force Executive Director on Fraud, said for years American taxpayers have been sending billions of dollars to Los Angeles to house the homeless and other vulnerable Americans. The result? Fraud and corruption. That ends today. None of this would be possible without the leadership of Secretary Turner. Pause for a second. I remember when I was first reporting for the Post Millennial, I found a story that wasn't being widely reported. The story was that Los Angeles was spending close to $800,000 per unit for a homeless person. $800,000 for these apartments, which means once you factor in services or anything else, you're probably spending about $1.5 million per homeless drug addict. That's what you're spending. You could buy somebody a house for a fraction of that price and put them up in it. You could do that. Instead, you're dropping that kind of money on them. Here in Seattle, we found out that Jay Inslee was dropping, $1 million per person to get them off the freeway, and there was no measure of success. It was just, well, they're not here anymore. Where'd they go, Jay? And now you've got Katie Wilson saying, look at me. I opened these tiny home villages. Nobody lives in them yet, but I opened them before the World Cup. If you can't get tickets to the World Cup, we got a tiny home village for you. Well, there's lots of hotel availability. So if not, you just come on out to the tiny homes. You know, a friend of mine sent me the tiny homes. And they got so mad at a picture from Como News because Como had a video of the tiny homes. Look at them. Look, they got everything. Here's the closet. Here's the bed. Here's the this. And here's the air conditioning unit. The air conditioning unit, the heat pumps on those suckers are as big as the one I have on my house for these little tiny homes. I got it from our friends over at Always Heating and Air Conditioning. Got it from them, right? They were the ones who hooked me up with this sucker. Got it. And you know what? The same size one is on the tiny home. So how much energy are they using to heat a shack a fraction of the size of my house? Which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Following a HUD-initiated investigation, Los Angeles Homelessness Authority has a clear pattern of fraud which is being exposed, and they cite a few examples. Tell me if any of these sound familiar. in August of 2023. They could not even determine whether it used funding to pay for empty hotel rooms because it failed to record when individuals exited transitional hotel housing. So he didn't even know how many people he checked in for the night. Had no clue. Okay. In November of 2024, the LA County's Auditor Control found that the agency misused government money by using it to pay for services provided by other government funders' contract weeks before they received grant funds to cover the particular cost. So basically what they're saying is one agency's paying for one thing, and these guys are now double paying for it. Well, if you're getting money from the government, who's going to complain, right? Look at all the money I'm getting from the government. This is great. They made false certifications that did not even have their own internal written conflict of interest policy until September 26, 2025, even though it certifies it'll comply with these requirements and will establish safeguards to prohibit conflicts of interest. So that's a lot like the stuff we did to prevent racism? You mean where we had all these things like the Covenant homeownership program? Where it was, oh, we're going to do this as reparations, and we're going to do this for all the people who were redlined, like Jews and Asians and blacks and Hispanics and all these other minority groups. Not so fast, you Jews. Not so fast, you Asians. Not so fast, anybody else. No, just the black people. Or the other ones that were supposed to be doing a similar program like that were actually giving the money to their relatives to buy houses and to pay off credit card debt. Los Angeles' failure to address the homelessness crisis is glaring. While its funding has increased 178% since HUD first mandated the Housing First policy in 2013. The Housing First policy is a failed initiative which was done originally under Barack Obama, continued under Joe Biden, and actually was present during the first Trump administration, which basically says if you get them into a house, everything else will be fine. Anybody who has a drug-addicted friend or relative knows that just ain't true. Since they adopted this policy, where they just go and do drugs inside the government-provided house, homelessness in LA has increased 100%. Free housing for the homelessness in LA has increased 212%. And HUD, Continuum of Care funding per homeless person in LA, has increased 39%. That is why they are now considering permanent debarment, which means no funding ever again for this LA Homeless Inc. No more funding anymore, which is what they're considering. Now, what's funny is a few days ago, yours truly was actually in touch with HUD, as I promised my listeners I would be, because I looked at a lot of the stuff they're investigating, and I said, all this stuff is happening with the King County Regional Homeless Authority. It's happening with these various organizations in Seattle. It's happening with these various agencies in Washington State. And I said, hey, guys, I'm going to send all this on over to you, and I gave them all the material. So I gave them all my articles, but better than my articles, I gave them all the auditor information from Washington State's own auditor, which is damning because that's them saying it, not me. And I sent all of that over to HUD. So if that happens next week or the week after, or wherever they get around to it, I'll be thrilled.
Robin Lakewood says they need those big ACs for the drug fumes.
Is that what it is? Well, is it vented too, or are you just like circulating it inside the house?
I think it's a lot of, it's HVAC.
Oh, I'm with you. So if your friend goes up to the unit and sucking air in from outside and then starts doing the Fetty outside, does that all just come right into the tiny home?
You say they take like a dryer vent off and start...
Yeah, we'll call it, it's a secondhand high, right? Is that what it is?
Did we just invent a way to do drugs?
Oh my God, we are terrible. We are really, what do you need a tiny home designated for drugs for? You just need a dude out there doing his thing right next to his buddy. Buddy doesn't have any money to buy drugs. You put his homeless friend next to his air conditioning unit in the tiny home, 2 for the price of 1.
Secondhand hot box.
Which
is one of my favorite emo bands.
Oh, that's very, very good. I think I saw Homeless Inc. open for secondhand hotbox. There you go. I finally got the hang of it. Okay. Anywho, why now? They had a year and a half to do this. Why now? Why didn't they do this under the first Trump administration? I have discovered that with the Trump administration, it kind of seems like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I do not think the timing of this is a coincidence. Spencer Pratt said during the election when all of a sudden Nithya Ramen Soup opens up this massive lead over him, and it's about 43,000 people. He goes, 43,000, you say that number sounds familiar. And what do we know about that number? That's how many the point in time count has of homeless people sleeping on the streets of Los Angeles. Now, do I really think all of them voted? No. But we know some of them did. Several residents of Los Angeles' Skid Row have claimed they were paid to vote during the city's mayoral election, with many saying those soliciting their vote told them to vote for Mayor Karen Bass. They have these multiple videos that have been coming out on social media of interviews with individuals in the Skid Row area near 7th Street and Flower Street in downtown Los Angeles. In those videos, you have one man identified as Kevin Shepard, claimed he was paid $4 to vote for Bass. When asked whether he would also been paid to vote for a candidate, Nithya Raman, Shepard said yes. He said they gave you an optional choice. Originally, they offered $2, but he negotiated it up to $4. He said he filled out a mail-in ballot for Bass and deposited it in a ballot box. Another resident, Renee Johnson, said she got $5 to vote for Bass. Quote, I was just trying to make $5, but I didn't do the fraud. Oh, okay. An unidentified woman also admitted to receiving $2 to vote for Bass. Yeah, they come up here all the time. Do not forget that there have been multiple investigations because of independent journalists that have uncovered this insanity going on Skid Row, where people are being paid to register to vote. People are being paid to sign signature sheets, not paid to collect signatures, to sign the sheets. And the people who need these initiatives in California, not here, we don't do that here. In California, who need them on the ballot, they go down to Skid Row, just give people a few bucks and you get all the signatures you need. I mean, look, Zach, let's do this for a second. If somebody comes up to you and says, I will pay you $2 to sign your name to this, what is a normal person going to say?
Hold on. I think I have it here.
How about no?
Right. Why is a person going to say that?
Because you don't want your information out in the world?
There you go, because you don't know what you're signing.
Sure.
You have no idea what you're putting your name to. You don't know. And also, $2? What is this? Better off dead? I want my $2.
Now, if it's a $2 bill,
that
changes things.
There you go. Now all of a sudden something unique, special.
2 Washingtons, 1 Jefferson, different story.
But you're not going to do that. A drug addict who can buy Fetty for $1 a pill is going to make this deal. And apparently it's happening in Los Angeles. Do I think every homeless person is voting? No. Do I think some are? Absolutely. The timing of this is not coincidental. How much fraud is there in California? And now I have a question for my listeners. Do you think that Washington's amount of money it's blowing on homelessness is more than LA or less than LA? I know they got more homeless people, but we have it down to a fine science here of the amount of people that are grifting off of this. Because I know we're more than Minnesota. I know we're more than Minneapolis. I know that we are. The question is, are we more than Los Angeles? I think you're going to find it's going to be Los Angeles, us, and then a few other places. I think that's what you're eventually going to find out. Let me know what you think. Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Speaking of the craziness on the streets of Seattle, my friends, up next, it looks like Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson is doing her best to calm down fears that Seattle's a crime-ridden cesspool before the World Cup. Did she succeed? We'll tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show. Well, my friends, I wonder if the bad PR Seattle has is scaring people off. According to Como News, the forecast for hotel bookings to jump in light of several World Cup matches in Seattle has fallen short of expectations. Watch. They're going to blame it on Trump, saying, but you're keeping people from coming here. And they're going to go, you mean the terrorists? like that referee from Somalia and a few other people they found with terrorist connections? You bet your you-know-what. No, they would have had bookings. Unless it's a one-way trip for them and they don't plan on staying here very long. I think they would have had the bookings in advance. We're talking about the advance bookings. Mr. KVI messaged me this morning because he's been tracking the World Cup tickets because he knows I want to go to one game. There's only one game I want to go to, and I don't care about the soccer. I want to go to Egypt versus Iran on Pride Night.
Which jersey are you going to wear?
No, dude. I'm going to wrap myself in an Israeli flag. No, I'm not even. I'm just going to do that.
It's been nice working with you. I have enjoyed it.
You know what? I think that's not fair. I think what I'm going to do is take the half and half flag, the one that's half America, half Israel, and just wrap myself in that one and go on inside and see what happens. Or is it better to be a fly on the wall and just watch the chaos as Iranians and Egyptians experience Pride Night for, well, let's say the first time Seattle does Pride Night, not the way they do it. They do it with lots of tossing, lots of throwing things. They're big on the throwing things. That's how they do it in Egypt and Iran. Occasionally.
Death, horrible death.
Exactly. Now, Zach, I don't know if you know this yet, but I have my sources. So you're going to have Iran there. You're going to have Egypt there. You're going to have Pride Night. So now you're going to have the Pride activist types coming out there and going, yes, we're Pride. Woo, we're proud. LGBTQ, 2IS, whatever it is. Okay. Then you're going to have the Iranians have scheduled a protest. And the Iranians against the regime. They're planning on going down to the stadium. And who usually goes with the Iranians against the regime? The Jews against the Iranian regime. So they're planning on going down there. And as soon as the Hamasniks and crew find out about this, they're going to go there to counter-protest. So let me make sure I got this right. Iran, Egypt, Pride. Iranians, Jews, Hamasniks. I think I'm just going to wear a baseball hat and just go down there and watch.
This is the worst game of rock, paper, scissors I've ever heard.
So what's going to happen? You're looking at the prices for tickets. They're dropping. So they're down to $186 a ticket, okay? And these things are supposed to go for hundreds of dollars.
Now, for the record,
yes,
a bunch of tickets got released to the market for this game because each country gets a certain allotment to go to their fan base. Mm-hmm. Well, the Iranians...
Not that many people coming to watch.
From Iran will not be making the trip. The team's barely making the trip. So all those tickets got dumped last minute.
Right.
So there is an influx of like new tickets that got released.
Absolutely, 100%. But if you have the choice of the games you want to go see, is Iran versus Egypt on Pride Night with all the protests and everything else that's going to be going on with it the top of anybody's list?
Speaking from a competition standpoint, that was not one of the games that's highlighted as...
Right. This one is the cheapest out of all the games. But here's something else. Perhaps it's just that Americans don't like soccer as much as you guys think Americans like soccer. I think that's really it, more than anything else. For example, I don't have a single friend who actually likes soccer. I cannot name one. I know they have kids who play soccer and they like playing soccer. But I think I have one friend who actually has Sounders tickets, but that's for a corporate thing.
Well, the World Cup is different than the Super Bowl in this capacity, too. Like, there's so many people that I met at the Super Bowl who just want to go to a Super Bowl. It's one day. It's one event. You know, we got to go and cover the week, but it's one day. The World Cup, I think, if you're not a diehard soccer fan, it's hard to invest yourself in this month-long thing.
Well, see, people love the Olympics, right?
Sure.
And they go, if the Olympics are coming to my city, I want to try and go to an event. Or like you, for example.
Yeah, I'm going.
You have the opportunity to go, so you're going to be going to the events you can go to. That sounds awesome.
No, I bought my ticket. I'm just going as a fan. Yeah.
You're going as a fan. I thought you were going to sports.
The most expensive sporting event I've ever paid for is a preliminary round of women's volleyball. 2 years from now.
Well, at least this time you can be sure that it's actually going to be women in it. So that's a good bonus there. They are guaranteeing there are women for that price. Now, I'll say this also. It's not just Seattle that's having these issues. This is coast to coast wherever a World Cup city is hosting. They are having the hotel issues. They're having the ticket issues. Now, when somebody's coming last minute, you don't normally go, I'm going to get the airfare last minute and I'm going to get the hotel last minute. Usually something like this, you plan pretty far in advance. So what businesses and hotels are worried about is this where we're at. Now, the added layer on top of this is, of all the places you can go, would you choose Seattle? Most people actually do not know how beautiful Seattle is. They really, really don't. They hear the horror stories, or they think Nirvana, or they think Starbucks. Oh, not Starbucks anymore. Or they think something like that. They don't actually. Rain. They have no idea. They have no idea. So they're not necessarily coming here for the weather, especially if they're coming here to watch a sporting event. Those two don't normally go together, usually a spectator of said things. So the bad PR Seattle's been having hasn't helped anything. So today there's an emergency press conference. They didn't call it that. I'm calling it that. Why? Because you had to get every Seattle official out in front of the cameras to say all this violence, the pimp war, the gang war, the drug war you've been hearing about in North Seattle, where residents have to put down their own barricades, that's been going viral everywhere. It's okay. We got this. We got this. So just to summarize this press conference for all of you, Deborah Juarez, who's been the council member for District 5 forever, probably since I moved to Seattle, and been incompetent the whole time. She's like, we're going to take care of this. Why would we believe you now? Erica Evans, who ran for office on, I'm not going to prosecute crime, now says I'm going to prosecute crime. Why should we believe you? Why should we believe you? Katie Wilson comes out there and just looks like a deer in the headlights. In fact, I have to slice that clip up later where she can't actually figure out her piece of paper and one of her staffers has to come save her. Yes, that actually happened during the press conference. I didn't get a lot of confidence. When the one I'm getting the most confidence from is Sean Barnes, Chief Wiggum of the Seattle Police Department, that's a really, really bad sign. When he's the only one up there who looks competent and he is not a really good police chief, that's when you know you're in trouble. And what I'm worried about is that everything's going to be fine near the stadiums and fine near the hotels, but it just ain't going to be fine in the rest of Seattle. It's a big city. We're short 700 officers. How do you think this is going to go? Up next, my friends, are we bombing Iran or what? I mean, it's like back and forth these days. I have no idea. I'll give you my full analysis of what's going on in the White House. Plus, the Democrats' fundraising arm, Act Blue, is in the crosshairs. We'll tell you what happened in Congress. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. When your team is up by 29 points, do you go, maybe now is a really good time to take it easy on them? Maybe now is a really good time to ease up and let them score a bit. That is such a first grade coaching move. And I know I've been a first grade coach. So when I used to coach baseball, and I know you're all going to laugh at this, okay? The little Jewish kids. It was the Jewish kids and the Seventh-day Adventists, okay? And what was funny about this was they were really, really good until about second or third grade because they're pretty smart. Very, very smart. They have the dual education of the Judaic stuff, and they think differently. Like, they analyze the stats. They know how the game is played, and then everybody else gets genetically superior. So my team was undefeated until about third grade, and sometimes and then like fourth, fifth, sixth grade, they didn't win a single game. I mean, it was a bloodbath. I mean, you've seen the height of my kids. They're some of the taller ones. Anywho, what we used to do was if we were beating a team by like, I don't know, we were definitely blowing out the 5-run limit in every inning. If we were doing that, I'd say, guys, just back off, go easy on them. You don't do that when the championship is on the line. You just don't, okay? What does Charles Barkley have to say about this?
We saw the dumbest basketball team in the history of civilization.
Oh, wow.
We saw they had a 25-point lead, took eight straight threes. Like, they thought to get, like, that was some of the most mismanaged, stupid basketball. Hey, when you blow a 29-point lead, the other team has to help you.
Okay, exactly right. Exactly right. So, I'm not talking about the Knicks game. I'm talking about Iran. So, we blew up their Navy. We blew up their Air Force. We blew up all their detection technology for any incoming anything. We blockaded their strip, and now we're like, ceasefire, let's just chill out. Let's hope this works out okay. And then we're surprised when they attack us because somehow they got a few more weapons or they got the guts to just go head-to-head with the greatest army this world has ever seen in its history. Yeah, that's not how you win a war. You keep the pressure on, especially when it's the NBA Finals, when you say, hey, you know what? We might lose. We might be down 3-1, and the team still has a home court advantage that we're playing against for one more game. So maybe when you want to win a war, you don't just sit there for 2 months and go, all right, let's see how this goes. So yesterday what happened was Iran did something very stupid. They attacked a whole bunch of other countries in the Middle East because they don't got enough problems with us and Israel. They want to start stuff with everybody else. And the last time they did that, worked out pretty badly for them. Then they went and shot down one of our helicopters. You do not mess with the U.S. military. So Trump puts this on True Social. Last month, I directed our great U.S. military to execute a secret mission to support oil tankers and other commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Today, I'm pleased to announce this effort has resulted in more than 100 million barrels of oil making its way through the strait and into the open market. More than 200 commercial ships have traveled safely across the strait. This wildly successful effort is because the United States of America controls the strait, not Iran. Their military is defeated. Their economy is lost. It's over for Iran. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So I love the president, but if it's over, why ain't it over? Right? If he hits good, how come he don't hit good? That's what my question is. Now, clearly he did this, which was apparently until now a secret operation. Clearly he did this so that he can bring down gas prices. President Trump talks, the markets react.
And how well did that go?
Well, funny you should mention that because first they go down. First the prices went down, right? Hang on, I'm going to walk you through all this. We're going to do all this, okay? President Trump in his first term said something. He said, I forget who he was doing the interview with. He said if he didn't like the news, he would just tweet something and the news would change to cover his tweet. He actually said that. So what he's doing now is he's gauging market reaction. He's basically running the war through market polling. That's what he's doing. So they go, oh, there's barrels of oil. Price of oil goes down a little bit. That's not enough. They didn't like that very much. Okay, let's try this instead. Then he puts this out. The United States will be hitting Iran, whose Navy, Air Force, radar, anti-aircraft, and all other forms of defense together with all its offensive capability are gone very, very hard tonight. At some point in the not-too-distant future, we'll be taking Karg Island and other oil infrastructure points and assume total control of their oil and gas markets, much like we have with Venezuela, which is working out brilliantly for both Venezuela and the United States of America. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay, so it's looking good for a second there, and then it's not looking so great. So wait a second. Now if everything's going okay, why isn't everything going okay? Now we have to go blow things up? I thought we're bringing all the oil out. And the market didn't like the news that much. They didn't like that at all. So then this comes out. Based on the fact that discussions with the Islamic Republic of Iran have been brought to the highest level of Iranian leadership and approved, I have, as President of the United States of America, canceled the scheduled strikes and bombings against Iran this evening. Discussions and final points have been, both in concept and great detail, approved by all parties involved, including the U.S., Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Turkey, Pakistan, Bahrain, Kuwait, Jordan, Egypt, and others. The naval blockade will remain in full force and effect until this transaction is finalized. Time and place of the signing to be announced shortly. And then a report comes out that J.D. Vance is heading on over there to negotiate the final details. I've seen this movie before. To quote Marty McFly, I've seen this. It's a classic, right? We've done this how many times? So hang on. Here's what has happened in the past. All of a sudden, J.D. Vance's flight is canceled. Some missiles launched at Israel or launched at the other Arab countries. Finish the job. Take Karg Island. That's what you got to do. Enough of this. Enough of this. Time to shut all this down and say no more of this nonsense, no more negotiations, because there's a phrase that is used with regard to Iran. Iran has never won a war, and Iran has never lost a negotiation. And that's what you're head-to-head with right now. Is Trump the true master of the deal, or is he being played by Iran? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. This one here from Becky and Enumclaw, when I mentioned maybe I should go down to the World Cup wrapped in the American flag or the Israeli flag or something. Becky says, no, just go be a fly on the wall and observe. I think that might be the safest option. That might be, maybe I'll go undercover as my alter ego, Ira, who goes to Democrat events. I can look like a soccer fan. I could do that, right? I'll just get an Antifa shirt, an Antifa flag. I'll head on in there. Oh, wait a second. They don't know what that means. Nah.
How do you look in joggers?
How about no? Let's go that route with it. Lots more to discuss as the show continues. Speaking of no, a prosecutor says no to charging a person, a biological male who allegedly sexually assaulted a female wrestler in high school. Give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Yesterday, we told you that 15-year-old wrestler Callie Keeler, who goes to Rogers High School, alleges she was sexually assaulted during a December 6, 2025 wrestling match at Emerald Ridge High School against an Emerald Ridge High School athlete who identifies as transgender, which means a biological male. Biological male. Now, the reason we told you this story yesterday is because she lawyered up and she filed a lawsuit against Washington State, including Turd Ferguson, Chris Rakedahl, the WIAA, the Washington Interscholastic Athletic Association, also against the school district that she goes to, you name it, everybody, for this happening to her. Now, as the lawsuit in civil court moves forward, I was wondering how the mainstream media was going to cover this. I was really, really curious, and I looked everywhere. I mean, I saw this on Brandy's show. I saw this on other people's show like us. I saw this story there, but I didn't see it in the mainstream media. So I was really wondering how they're going to cover this. Now, if you remember, after this happened, it was 53 days before the police were involved. Why? It was 53 days before the school contacted police, and the school only contacted police after all the media pressure they were getting when the story broke. I think it was Brandy that broke the story, when all of a sudden all of us are reaching out to the school district and saying, hey, what's the story with this whole insanity? So I was wondering how the mainstream media was going to cover it, because the mainstream media, when the story first came out, about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, the mainstream media didn't cover it at all. Well, now we have our answer, and I'm pretty disappointed. According to Como News, a Washington high school wrestler and her mother have filed a federal lawsuit after Pierce County prosecutors declined to file charges against a transgender competitor accused of assaulting the student during a girls' wrestling match. Do you know what's wrong with that paragraph? It makes it sound like sour grapes. It makes it sound like, well, they just lost here in the criminal court, so they're going to file it over here in the civil court, and it just makes them sound like they're hungry for money. That's how the mainstream media is covering this, which I was beyond disappointed by, especially because we usually have more hope in King County than that. So the Pierce County Sheriff's Office investigated the incident, forwarded the rape allegations to the prosecutors, which means Keith Swank and crew thought there was a there. However, Pierce County prosecutors ultimately declined to file criminal charges. In a memorandum to investigators, a deputy prosecuting attorney wrote that the evidence was insufficient to prove a crime beyond a reasonable doubt. I mean, the lengths they went to try and disprove this sound like they were just interested in not prosecuting it and looked for an excuse not to prosecute it. It looks like they spent a lot of time investigating the case rather than actually trying to prosecute the case. And I know you have to prepare your case, but it sounds like what they did was they went and found everybody they could talk to who the defense would call to say, yeah, there's no there. So they say the memo emphasized the decision not to charge was unrelated to the competitor's transgender status. If you write that, if you feel like you have to write that, rather than rely on the law itself and the burden of proof, I automatically do not believe you. They conclude the alleged conduct was not a legitimate wrestling maneuver and should not be considered part of normal competition. But wait a second. If it's not normal, but it's something that happens, okay, guys, you know what? At this point, I just know why you're not prosecuting this case. We all know why you're not prosecuting this case. Unfortunately, there's not going to be any criminal justice. The question is, will there be civil justice here in Washington? Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. Up next, Tarra Simmons, everybody's favorite ex-con representative, is now crying crocodile tears because of an ethics investigation. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. This is why I'm a conservative. This is why I'm a Republican, because I think of these things. But so many other people just don't.
Well, when I ask for Democrats, and I've debated them, and I still debate them all the time, what has their party done? Let's use this as a great opportunity. Let's talk energy policy. Patty Murray was out there trying to give Duffy a bunch of crap about the average gas price, which is like, what, $4.20, $4.50 somewhere.
Yeah.
That's a great price in Washington State. That's what we were paying before the Iraq-Iran conflict. And in fact, I called her office and said, when is Patty Murray going to come out here to Washington State, talk to the state legislature and the governor to get rid of the Climate Commitment Act that would lower things about $2 a gallon?
Exactly.
And of course they said, well, we'll put it on a great opportunity to talk about energy policy. The only thing the Democrats have done right now, Gavin Newsom's trying to restrict oil drilling in California. Trump's just trampling with the Defense Production Act. And then he actually had the nerve on his Twitter to talk about electric prices. California Democrats turned some of the cheapest electricity and the most expensive in the main 48 by far. It's a great opportunity to talk energy policy because all they did was attack fossil fuels when they're in power, and try to shove EVs down everybody's throat. That's what
I got a better one for you. They're all talking about inflation right now, right? So inflation's up, and there's no debating that. Inflation is up. It's up to about 4.2%, okay? Do you know what it was under Biden? 9.5%. So, yeah, you guys want to compare that kind of stuff. And what was that? There was no war there. That was just bad policy. So if they really want to have these discussions, they're going to lose every single time. Ben, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Switching gears. Do you know the name Tarra Simmons, my friends, the Washington State Representative? You know that name, right?
Now, that's a name I've not heard in a long time. A long time.
So she now has an ethics complaint. We covered this a while ago. We covered her ethics complaint, not because she brings a dog into the legislature, not because she takes the dog with her wherever she goes, not because I don't think the dog's very cute. It just looks like a mop of fur.
It's kind of cute.
You think are you into the little dogs? Is that a thing?
I wasn't ever going to tell the KVI audience
that. Oh,
that.
no. You like the little purse dogs? Boo.
But I'd be lying if I said my dog's weight hit double digits.
Wait a second. Let's back up a minute here. You remember when we went to the Washington State Legislature and there was some white fur on the ground? And one of the pages told us, I don't know if you were there when this happened, one of the pages said to me, Tarra Simmons was just walking through here with the dog. It was from the dog. Literally from the dog. So she says a service animal. Okay, fine. So she's got ethics problems. Here's the ethics problems in a nutshell. Here's the basic summary. That she took money from the legislature and allocated it to a nonprofit that maybe it shouldn't have gone to, that she had some conflict of interest with. But then here's where it gets here's the spicy part, the really spicy part. Apparently, the whole deal was, well, the nonprofit's going to hire her boyfriend, and they didn't have enough money to cover it, even with the money they were getting from your taxpayer dollars. So she took it from campaign funds and gave it to the nonprofit so the boyfriend can get a job. Now, okay, I'm not going to make the dirty jokes. I'm not going to make the obvious jokes.
And you're saying you can't do that?
You're not supposed to.
Oh, okay.
That's an ethics problem. Now, they've got her dead to rights. And my favorite is, throughout the course of this thing, it's been, well, he wasn't my boyfriend. Well, then why do your texts say he's your boyfriend? I mean, you don't understand. I cannot believe I'm seeing this happen with a Democrat. When we broke the story of these allegations like 6 months ago, I'm like, they're not going to go anywhere. Nothing's going to happen. I wonder who she pissed off. I wonder who she ticked off. Because this don't happen unless the Democrats are mad at you.
Dog peed on something.
Fur just got Jamie Peterson doesn't like vacuuming.
The Democratic side riddled with cat people.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, she's a dog person. Mm-hmm. Okay, now we figured it out. It's not because she's an ex-con. It's not because she's a disaster of a lawmaker. It's not because any of that. It's because she's a dog person, and you got a bunch of lonely cat ladies and lonely cat men on the other side of the aisle. I'm with you.
Tell me Sean Scott doesn't have a cat?
I'm sure Sean Scott has a cat. Okay, can't make that joke on air. All right, we're going to throw that one away right now. I was going to say, I know he is. We're going to throw that one away, too. I can't say that either. Bad Hoffman. Bad. There you go. Thank you very much. Anywho, My favorite part of all this fun, there's a lot of audio of her crying and all that, but her excuse for all this, I kid you not, her excuse for all this, I've had a rough life. Oh, have you now? Oh, you've had a rough life. Who amongst us hasn't? Listen to these crocodile tears.
In the nation who's been incarcerated, who became a state representative. And that's why I take this very seriously.
If you took it seriously, you wouldn't have done it. I'm just throwing that out there for a second. Also, there's two kinds of people that go to jail. There's the Ari Hoffmans of the world that get arrested on their prom night and go, that was really stupid. I'm never doing that again because I was evading pursuit, running 2 red lights, speeding, suspended license, suspended registration, no insurance. That's another story for another time.
What Camaros are for.
That's what Camaros are for, apparently. There's that. And the people who spend a few hours in jail because of that and go, I am never doing that again. I'm going to be a good law-abiding citizen. And then there's the Tarra Simmons of the world who go, ha-ha! Second chance. Let's go. It's just ethics. It's not. I mean, what's the worst they could do? They could fine you, right? So what? I'll just pay it with campaign funds because I pay for everything else with campaign funds, right? Right? What else did she have to say?
But I think that I bring a lot of, something that's missing that has been missing here.
Okay. Shall we go through her amazing legislation? That has been missing from the Washington State Legislature. The kind where she tries to release criminals, where she tries to give judges the power to release criminals however they feel like it. How she feels like, hey, a criminal doesn't have this because they're in jail. Let's make sure to get it for them. Whatever she could do to free criminals, release criminals, give criminals rights, help the criminals, not the victims, she does that. Thank God most of her stuff hasn't passed, but some of it has.
And I'm able to help my colleagues understand the barriers of people who have come from different kinds of system involvement, and I think the different lived experience I bring, but also I've had areas in my life where I've been able to really do well, graduating magna cum laude from law school. Okay,
I'm done. So basically your excuse for all this is, I had a rough life, I overcome problems, and that's why you should let me off the hook for this thing you have me dead to rights on? That's your excuse. I just want to make sure that's what we're talking about here. That is your excuse. Dan Smith says over on the text line, go to jail. Go directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Robin Lakewood's calling me out, Zach. He says, what? You don't pay your car registration. Yeah, but that's not okay, I didn't learn my lesson that well, right?
It's more of an ethics violation.
It's an ethics violation, just like Tarra Simmons, right? We're doing the same here. Exactly right. Meanwhile, switching gears over to this for a second, as if we didn't have enough ethics problems in the state. Do you know that Washington has a human rights commission? Yes, that's all we need, a human rights commission here in Washington. When I hear the term a human rights commission, I immediately think to myself, activist club. What is the most activist thing we could do on the Human Rights Commission? I don't know what they do all day.
It's like the People's Fund, money
yeah,
for people.
Well, funny you should mention it. Would you like to know what their operating budget is? $13.2 million.
Whoa.
And I said, what are you spending that on? 13.2, but we have a budget deficit, right? We have a budget gap of $13.2 million.
I've got it.
Yes.
It's those humans feel they have the rights to $13 million.
Oh, now I understand. $13 million. Now, we have discussed some of the members of the Human Rights Commission before, and today I called their number. They haven't responded to my request for comment, so I called the Human Rights Commission number today. And when you call the Human Rights Commission, it's like, do you want to complain about this or do you want to complain about that? So hang on a second. We've got this complaint hotline. We've got the hate crimes hotline. How many other complaint lines do we need here in Washington? What, we need more people with salaries, so we're just going to do this? As far as I can tell, all the Human Rights Commission does is sit around and talk about how everybody's racist and then file complaints about people being racist. And apparently that costs $13.2 million every couple of years. That's what it is. Well, they had a little problem yesterday. Yesterday, my DMs, my emails explode from a few of my friends who are saying, Ari, have you seen this video yet? And I said, well, no, what is it? And they said, well, the Human Rights Commission of Washington just uploaded all their videos of all their meetings for the last year. And the immediate thought in my mind is, what are you nerds doing looking at the Human Rights Commission videos? Why is this so interesting to you? But I'm glad that they did. Because what they found is one of the Human Rights Commissioners, Luke Jasmine. And that's not Luke as in Cool Hand Luke. It's Luke as in Jean-Luc Picard. Because he's from Haiti, this guy. Now, it's a little hard to understand. But let me give you the context of what's happening. So apparently, there was rising anti-Semitism in the U.S. the past couple of years. Yeah, who knew? Really? Right. Who knew there was rising anti-Semitism? So they're debating an anti-Semitism resolution, whether they should pass an anti-Semitism resolution last March. This video was just posted yesterday, but it happened last March. And over the course of this, Luke Jasmine decided to prove that he was a raging anti-Semite, and that's why he opposed the resolution on anti-Semitism.
About the resolution, I feel kind of, it's like, do we have a push, or are we under duress to put out a special resolutions for the Jewish community? Well, we have not put out any special resolution for the black community, for the Arab community, for the Chinese community.
Funny he mentions those, because the commission, while he was on it, 6 months before this, put out one for the Arab community, and the year before put out one for the black community, and before that put out one for the Asian community. So, yes, they actually did do all those things while he was on the commission. This is the kind of person that Jay Inslee appoints. Morons. Continue.
I believe the laws of the human rights is for all, and it's universal. It covers discrimination as it is, and in every facet of discrimination. Why do we feel compelled to put out a special resolution for the Jewish people?
Okay, stop right there for a second. Now, mind you, I hate all this kind of stuff. I do. But if you're going to do it for everybody else, you should do it for the Jewish community too, right? And he literally had been part of putting out the other resolutions. He'd been part of that. He'd been on the commission when they put out these other resolutions. So why do you just not want this one?
No, that's a valid point. Human Rights Commission does represent people within Washington. I think that in this time, it's especially important, given the social climate, that we take a strong stance on making sure that the Jewish community is being supported, and that we have a definition and a condemnation of anti-Semitism.
Okay. Now, before you go, oh, that lady's nice. That's Han Tran. Han Tran is the one who pulled police officers from the North Shore School Board. Han Tran also wears keffiyehs all the time. The reason she wanted a definition on anti-Semitism is to say anti-Zionism isn't anti-Semitism. Okay? That's her. But she's not the main star of this story. Back to Luke.
For Washington.
Well, this word anti-Semitism has been around since the Jews got trampled by Hitler.
I'm sorry, anti-Semitism's only been around since the Jews got trampled by Hitler? Okay, missing a few millennia there, but okay, let's go with that.
And it seems like the Jewish people keep on crying and crying and crying and crying and crying, always crying with that anti-Semitism. And today there are many other groups who are subject to mistreatment.
Okay. Can you imagine this? I'm going to say this right now, and I'm saying this just for context, and if somebody clips this later, nothing I can do. The black community is always crying and crying and crying and crying and crying and asking for reparations and all that. Why do we keep giving in to them? If I had said that for real and not just for this, what would have happened? What would have happened? Right? The Arab community just crying, 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 asking for everything. What would have happened? Right? The Asian community, the Hispanic community, do it with any community. What would have happened to this commissioner if he had said that about any other group.
We are even subject to mistreatment by the Jewish. And they're not crying so much.
Wait a second. Did he just say the Jews are attacking other people? What is he talking about?
And why anti-Semitism is carrying on until century 2000? And everybody's folding down to that. Everybody's in need. Everybody needs, every group, social group, in this arena we are now, the way life is now, is in need of fighting against discrimination.
But not the Jews. Not the Jews, apparently. Okay. So what exactly does this guy want? Let's hear what he said a little bit later in the meeting.
I want a resolution for the Haitian people. Written in
for the Haitian people? I mean, I understand you're Haitian. Hey, if everybody's going to get a resolution, let's do one for the Haitian people. No problem. No problem.
Can the city of Roy get one?
Yeah.
They're my people.
They're your people. Zach wants one. Okay. People who own cats by themselves. I mean, they can get one too, right? We can do that also?
As such. And I want for the black people, and I want for the what happened to these people the Jewish are killing by millions over there?
Whoa! Who are the Jews killing by the millions over there? What are we talking about?
The Palestinians and the Arabs. And I think we should every month put on resolution for all these people because they are all being discriminated against, especially the Arabs in the United States right now.
Is there a lot of attacks against Arabs in the United States right now? Can somebody show that where that's happening? Can anybody do that? This guy was just full of brilliant thoughts. Let me tell you.
The resolution that you put forth, I think you got hit by it too. It was for real. The Arabs was really being attacked, and that was a right resolution. But the Jewish, they are attacking people.
Oh, I see. What's going on. I understand. This guy was appointed by Jay Inslee. There's one person who has the power to yank him off the board, and it's Governor Bob Ferguson, the Human Rights Commission. Personally, I think we should dissolve the entire thing. I think there are better uses for $13.2 million in our budget. I don't think we should even be doing any of this stupidity. But if we're going to have it, shouldn't you condemn violence against every single group? Why does he just not want to condemn it against this one? Oh, by the way, this guy's son is running as a Democrat for office in Spokane, by the way. So I'll ask you, should we just shut down the Human Rights Commission? Are there human rights violations happening here in Washington? The only ones I could think of are people being trafficked across the border, the drug trade. If there's something else, let me know. Maybe we should take the $13.2 million and use it for border security. Maybe we should take the $13.2 million and use it for drug enforcement. Maybe we should do that instead of the Human Rights Commission. But you know how I know that Washington state officials are really freaked out by this video going viral over the week? I'll tell you how I know this. I will tell you how. I got a nice email from one of their press people who does not like me very much when I asked for comment. This person usually gives me snark beyond snark beyond snark. So the fact that they're giving me a nice one means they know they're in big trouble about this. Do you think this guy is going to get fired? My guess is probably not. And they're probably going to get a raise in their budget because it's Washington State and they love to waste money. We go to the KVI studio line, take a call from Transit Joe. Transit Joe, what's up?
I appreciate you calling out the Human Rights Commission. I went to them about a certain hate monger who goes to public comment and used to hurl Nazi salutes till he got thrown out. We didn't need $13 million to figure out how to throw out Nazis, and I really think that we could give the money to the Public Disclosure Commission to have more integrity in our elections, and we could also just have anti-hate curriculum. But aren't we in a budget crisis, and don't we need to save money?
There we go. Here, Joe, I'm going to say something for you. Think of what you could do with $13 million for transit. Okay, I don't like that, but think about that for a second. And instead, we're spending it on this. Okay, if somebody did something that's discriminatory, we have hate crime laws. So use the hate crime laws. Why do you need the stupid commission at $13.2 million? Appreciate the call, Joe. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, my friends, President Trump found the children that Joe Biden lost during his border debacle. We'll tell you about how the Trump administration saved over 100,000 kids when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, head on over to KVI.com. While you're there, you can check out our new articles, and some of them come out before we even do them on the show, so you can get the news before we do it here. Also, you can become a KVI Insider. Just sign up to become a KVI Insider, and that way you'll never miss our events or any other special contests, anything else that's going on over there. Over on the text line... 425 says, can we take a little bit of that $13 million and make a Bob Ferguson complaint hotline? I like that idea. I like it a lot, a lot, a lot. This one here from Dan. Any bets that all the phone calls to every commission, every three-letter agency, every violence against cat ladies and Karen's hotline go to a room full of chimpanzees? That's not nice to call the cat ladies chimpanzees because there are cat ladies manning the phone, sir. That's not nice at all. Forrest Cat says, now, Mr. Lion, he means me because Ari means lion, don't lump us conservative cat dads in with TDS cat lady wokesters. I can assure you that all of my cats self-registered and voted Republican in the last election. Boo. Boo, boo, boo. Somebody asked, what's that guy's nationality who we were just discussing? Haitian. I don't think English is his first language there. Okay, switching gears over here. Yesterday, President Trump signed the $70 billion Secure America Act to fund ICE and the Border Patrol. So all that fighting the Democrats did, what did it accomplish? Did it accomplish anything whatsoever? No, they held up the funding. They shut down the government. They got nothing that they wanted. Absolutely nothing. The dead people that they said to protest ICE, they got nothing. We still have ICE. We still have the Border Patrol. We fully funded it. In fact, we increased the funding of the Secure America Act. So Democrats lose again. Unfortunately, in the process, they did damage to our economy by shutting down the government. They got some people killed by riling them up against ICE. So overall net loss for, I'd say, everybody. But on Thursday, you had Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche and DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin, alongside several other federal officials, talking about 146,000 alien children that had been found and the administration's efforts to protect the unaccompanied migrant youth. Now, if 10 million people minimum came across the border during the Biden administration, we know a lot of them were kids. And what happened was a lot of them were unaccompanied minors. And these aren't the stories you hear about, well, the family could only afford to send one from Nazi Germany or Europe, so they sent the oldest son, and the oldest son's supposed to get a job and establish everything for the family, so they bought him a ticket on a boat. They got him a job in America, and they sent him on the Atlantic crossing. This isn't that. This is hey, drug traffickers, hey, human traffickers, can you take my kid to America? Do you know how many of them got raped along the way? You know how many of them got killed along the way? You know what the drug traffickers used to do with these little kids? They would throw them out of the boat so the Border Patrol would have to go rescue them. And that way they could use it as a diversion to smuggle more people across. So the two of these guys, both Blanche and Mullin, spoke about the administration's efforts to bring human traffickers to justice. Mullin said when we start digging into these cases and you start hearing the absolute horrific things that took place under the Biden administration, under true neglect at best and criminal at worst, to allow 450,000 kids to go missing throughout this country. Now, which president was it they accused of separating parents from kids? All right, they blamed Trump for that, but really that was a Biden-era policy. But that was an Obama-era policy, and the Biden administration is the one that was losing kids everywhere. They said President Trump has made it a point to go find these kids. Because of our partnership with HHS and DOJ, the Department of Homeland Security is truly using the best of the best. Mullin went on to speak of the children the administration found and talked about some of their experiences. He said some of these kids claim they were raped 600 to 700 times. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you have kids or don't have kids. I don't care if you're a liberal, independent, Democrat, or Republican. If you can't stand for law enforcement to go find these kids, who are you? Every leader should understand what's going on. Time out. Any of you see this covered by the mainstream media? Anybody? I saw it on Fox. I saw it on Newsmax. I saw it on Daily Wire. I saw it on Daily Caller. I did not see this anywhere else. 146,000 kids found is a huge win. But the reason they can't talk about it is because then that talks about the huge loss of the Biden administration. Mullin said most of the children have been found in sanctuary cities along with the traffickers. That's where they found them, which is crazy, by the way. Absolutely crazy. The Democrats tried to stop the funding for the agencies that are finding kids. It's as simple as that. Now, meanwhile, while this is going on, you got this issue with birth tourism. The U.S. State Department announced a major crackdown on illegal birth tourism schemes, which uncovered sophisticated birth tourism networks in Africa and Europe, where hundreds of foreign nationals allegedly use fraudulent documents and visas to obtain U.S. citizenship for their children, because then you can get the whole family over here. And now the State Department is shutting it down. Looks like you didn't need more funding. Looks like all you needed was a new president. Up next, my friends, we have the lawyer who's representing the 15-year-old girl against Bob Ferguson, Chris Rakedahl, and everybody else who made her compete against a biological male in wrestling. We'll have that story for you when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. When they first started talking about having boys who identify as girls playing in girls' sports, everybody knew this was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad idea. And one of the cases that I used to use and many others like me used to use was, well, what happens if it's football? What happens if it's hockey? What happens if it's wrestling? These are very real issues where you could have very real problems. And much to our predictions and our nightmares, that's exactly what happened, according to a new lawsuit and some video we've been covering here on the show. Joining us now to discuss is Kate Anderson, who's a senior counsel and director of the Alliance for Defending Freedom Center for Parental Rights. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Such a pleasure. I wish it was under better circumstances. So let's start from the beginning about what happened with your client and what this lawsuit is about.
What happened to our client happened because of political cowardice. Washington State and the districts here have a policy that they allow male athletes to compete in women's sports if they identify as female. And this led Callie, a girl who was 15 at the time, to end up being forced to wrestle against a male student. She didn't know ahead of time that she was being matched against a male athlete. And during that match, she was sexually assaulted. This wasn't something that happens by accident, a normal move in the course of wrestling, which is already a very physical sport. But this was true sexual assault. And the only way she could get it to stop was to allow him to pin her. She left the match crying, and her coaches saw it all and did nothing. And they continue to avoid being able to protect her going forward.
So who's named in this lawsuit? Because there's a lot of people in Washington State who have defended this many, many times on tape, in interviews, in press releases. There's a lot of people.
Yeah, we've filed the case against a number of state officials, the Washington Association that handles wrestling in the state, and the district, Puyallup School District. We need to stop all of the people who could have made this stop and hold them accountable for not telling her or her mom that she was going to be wrestling against a boy, for putting her on that mat and then not protecting her or dealing with it really in any way after the fact.
Now, if you haven't seen the video, I've linked it over on social media. I know Brandy Cruz has it up there as well. But when you watch the video, you're not entirely sure what you're looking at. And you realize the looks on the girl's face, it's not, I can't believe I'm losing. It's more of a, what is happening? So just to play devil's advocate for a second, from the coach's perspective, could they have known what was happening? Or is it more afterwards, when they found out what happened, they didn't have her back?
I think it's both and. You can clearly see the shock and confusion in her face, but she came off the mat crying. That's not a normal thing to be happening in wrestling, and they didn't check in with her at all. But the story gets worse because she and her mom took the issue to the school right away, to her coaches, told them what happened in detail, and the school did nothing to protect her. It took until the story broke on Brandy Cruz months later for the school to even open a real investigation, to refer it over, to deal with it in any way. And they continue to have that investigation be ongoing with no result. And when Callie and her mom talked to the school and asked for her to be able to continue wrestling next year and be assured that she would not be matched against a male athlete again, the school declined and said that this was policy, they would maintain the policy, and that if she wrestles, she could be matched against a male athlete again, regardless of what has happened to her.
So is she wrestling this coming season or not?
Her plan is to. She really wants to be able to wrestle this coming season. She's been wrestling since she was 4 and put in a ton of time to be one of the top athletes on her team. And yet she's in this situation where if she does this, she could be put in the same position where she's asked to wrestle a male student with no notice in advance. Her only recourse would be to figure it out herself and forfeit before she walks onto the mat. And that's not fair for her or any girl in the state.
No, it's really not. We're talking with Kate Anderson, Senior Counsel and Director of the Alliance for Defending Freedom Center for Parental Rights. Now, here's a part where I'm a little confused by. So it took the school months to actually do anything about it, and they only did it once there was media pressure. So in the meantime, did Kate and her mom go to the police, or did the school say they were talking to the police? Were they stalling them? That's the thing that I don't understand about the little gap there.
There was a lot of stalling with the family, that sort of lip service to, we take this seriously, but nothing was coming of it. And so that's why Callie ended up going public with it. She felt like other girls needed to know. This is a really painful thing to have to talk about. But she believes, and rightly so, that people in the state need to know, and that other girls need to know what the policy is and how it could impact them so that they can protect themselves, because the school district is certainly not doing that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just a reminder to everybody who's infuriated listening to the story is that there are going to be 2 initiatives on the ballot this November. One of them is to protect girls' sports, and that's why you got to support this kind of stuff so it doesn't happen anymore. Just before we let you go, what is your client seeking in terms of damages for this?
That hasn't been determined yet, but she really wants the policy change. She wants to be able to ensure that she can participate in the sport that she loves without fear that this kind of thing is going to happen again, or that she'd be forced to wrestle against a male in any circumstance. There's also fairness and privacy issues at stake here, and she wants to make sure that the same thing is true for other girls, that girls in the state have a fair opportunity to participate in the sports that they love, and that they do not have to sacrifice their safety or their privacy to do that.
Well, Kate, God bless you and your firm and everybody over at your organization for making sure that these girls have somebody to turn to. Please, God, there shouldn't be any more victims like this, but at least they have you guys that they can look to for some help, and really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you so much for covering this.
This is Kate Anderson, who is Senior Counsel and Director of the Alliance for Defending Freedom Center for Parental Rights. Thank you so much for joining us today. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, subscribe to the podcast on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. Remember to rate and share so that way your friends can enjoy it as well. We have been neglecting the true crime because there's been so much political news around here. So let's see what's going on in our insane state, shall we? Renton police are looking for help. I'm just reading the headline. I'm going to read the headline straight. Okay, I'm going to read the headline straight rather than just opinionate on it. We'll do that. Renton police seek help identifying suspect tied to women's lingerie fire at Walmart. Okay, all right. What actually happened here? I saw the video. If I hadn't seen the video, I would have been like, talk about hot flashes. I mean, Bob Ferguson talks about it. There you go. Hunka burning love. Whatever it is. I would have been like, what is happening at the Walmart in Renton? Well, this is, I guess you'd say, my Walmart. This is the one I go to. So what happens is somebody lit the women's lingerie section on fire. Now you think, is this just one of our unsheltered neighbors? Is this somebody with the Fetty? No, I'll tell you what it is because I spoke to a friend who's in the biz. This is what happens. You light a fire in one corner of the store so you can go steal out of the other corner of the store because everybody's busy dealing with the fire. But there are bigger implications to this. So what happens after this is you have smoke damage in the store. And the insurance company shows up, and after the sprinklers and the smoke and the fire and the everything else, the insurance company comes over and they say, we have to total the store, or we have to total the women's department, or we have to total the men's department. Now, this is where the secondary market comes into play. Because once you total that store, all that inventory, declared loss, you can't sell it. You can resell it.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can. And young Zach loves when this happens. But think about what it means for Walmart. So that now means that Walmart has to pay the insurance rates going up that cover all this. The insurance company has to pay for all that lost merchandise. So now what happens is Walmart's insurance rates go up because of this, and they have to raise prices on you. Oftentimes, the amount stolen is under $1,000. You're not talking about the thieves making off with huge amounts of stuff. It's whatever they can carry. And how many millions of dollars worth of product is lost in the meantime? So when you have to find these guys, usually, this is not some random homeless guy doing it. Usually it is part of a retail theft organization doing this kind of stuff. But according to police, they said the individual arrived at the store in a white Cadillac Escalade, not homeless. Went directly to the women's lingerie section after entering. Why? Probably because that stuff is flammable. So they captured the suspect briefly crouching in an area where the fire later started. The individual then ran out of the store as the flames erupted. The suspect then returned to the Cadillac, which left the area while the store was being evacuated. Now, you think to yourself, he didn't get anything. My friends. He didn't get anything. But his buddy who was over in the TV section or his buddy who was somewhere else, they got all the stuff during the evacuation, during all the chaos, because the security guards are too busy dealing with the fire, not actually dealing with the aftermath of the fire. That's what this was. This wasn't somebody protesting Walmart. This wasn't somebody going, oh my God, let them unionize in Walmart. No, it wasn't that at all.
So now I buy smoky lingerie penny on the dollar and sell it half off.
Exactly right. There's a couple stores around here that do that, by the way. Some of these big box discount stores.
I know, they're kind of putting me out of business. I had a good racket going for a little bit.
You did for a while, but yeah. Well, you could do this too. I mean, we got some space down in the garage, right? We could open it up to the public. Yes? No? Maybe so? I'll make you a good deal on a whole bunch of KVI flags. We'll do that for you. Well, wait, I'm not allowed to sell the company stuff, right? Okay, we're not going to do that. Switching gears to what else is going on around here. Have you guys been following the story of the Diddy house in Bellevue? This is crazy. Zach now knows what I'm talking about. Okay, the 21-year-old wannabe influencer who's been charged with human trafficking, organized crime after the party raided his Bellevue mansion. This guy is I can't use the word for what he is on air, but basically a luxury Bellevue, Washington mansion known as the Diddy House among neighbors, because there ain't no party like a Diddy party, was raided by police earlier this week after investigators alleged it served as the hub of a human trafficking and financial exploitation operation. Authorities arrested 21-year-old Nikita Tilkalu on allegations of human trafficking, money laundering, and leading organized crime. Oh, pretty young for all that. He was taken into custody. He's already been charged. And this months-long investigation into this where he recruited young women into an adult content business and allegedly subjected them to coercion, intimidation, financial exploitation, and abuse. His Instagram with over 5,000 followers. Only 5,000 followers for doing all that? Okay, not making the money on the interwebs, I'll tell you that. He posted photos of money as well as fancy sports cars and, well, other stuff. Investigators say the case began after multiple women came forward alleging they had been promised substantial earnings through social media recruitment campaigns tied to adult content platforms, including OnlyFans. Several women told detectives they were recruited into an operation associated with Nova Talent Management, where they were allegedly promised lucrative incomes but later lost access to accounts and earnings generated in their names. Several women alleged they were pressured into creating increasingly explicit content while managers controlled account passwords, finances, and communications. One alleged victim told detectives she had discovered an account created in her name generating nearly $230,000 in gross revenue over 1 year, but claimed she was denied access to the money and locked out of the account. Multiple women describe the manipulation, the control, and in the probable cause documents, it includes physical assaults, threats, intimidation, forced work schedules, financial withholding, the use of fear to prevent women from leaving, and, well, let's just say a lot more that I'm not going to list on air. It's pretty bad. Anyway, this guy has been charged good. I hope he sees the inside of a cell for a very, very long time. And ladies, just like the 1980s, if you see somebody who wants you to be a model and they just offer to take your pictures in the mall, do not go for that, or you might end up in the Diddy house. Okay? Really bad kind of stuff. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. Up next, final hour free-for-all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, plus so much more. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour free for all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, are we actually bombing Iran or are gas prices going down? What's the latest on that? But before we get to any of that, my friends, okay, we just got to go to the text line because our friend Matt had text of the day. Matt often wins text of the day. He's got that sharp wit. We were talking about the lingerie fire in the Walmart in Renton, and he said, is Zach selling man's ears or bros? To which Zach replied,
oh, I side with Frank Costanza every time. It's the man's ear.
I want a man who's selling them, not wearing them. Isn't that the line that the wife says in the thing when she walks in on him wearing the bro or the man's ear or whatever? That's the line later. Something like that. She says something like that. Anywho, I thought that was funny. Speaking of Jerry Seinfeld, by the way, you see that clip that went viral of him last night at the NBA Finals? He's walking out and somebody says, hey, Jerry Seinfeld, will you say free Palestine? And he goes, that's not a real place. Just...
I don't want to say free Palestine.
Don't make me. I don't want to wear the ribbon. Oh,
I don't want to be a terrorist. That's my best impression.
Wait a
it's
second.
Not very good.
There was an episode with it. Wasn't there an episode
shirt.
with a criminal or a terrorist on an airplane? They were all on the airplane for one thing. Elaine wanted to be in first class. Jerry had his girl in the thing, and George let loose a terrorist. Kramer's running on the runway. I forget which one it was.
I think it was just you're run-of-the-mill hijacker.
Oh, just a hijacker. I see. Just a regular hijacker. I understand. Switching gears to things that are happening closer to home. When I ran for office in 2019, and I lost to a socialist, it's okay. Everybody who's conservative around here loses to a socialist in Seattle. It's fine. But I remember I was all, how did this happen? I had so many people talking to me on social media, and I had so many donations, and I was on Fox News all the time. How did it happen? How did it happen? So I became convinced that it was because the homeless voted. I became convinced of it. So what I do, this is where I learned to file public disclosure requests. I started filing public disclosure request after disclosure request after disclosure request. And what did I find after doing all my research? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ballots were going to the homeless. However, and this is a caveat, this was back in what, 2019, 2018? The majority of the ballots were not being returned. So they were ripe for fraud, but the fraud was not happening. I mean, how do you register somebody who doesn't have an address? There were hundreds of them going to certain buildings and certain homeless locations, and I should really pull up that research to see if they're still going to those locations. But that doesn't mean it's not happening now. In fact, the bigger problem we have is what's happening where somebody will go into different communities, tell them how to vote, or they'll go into old age houses, or they'll say to the people with dementia, hey, I'm going to fill out your ballot for you. Or, and these are the problems you have with mail-in balloting and ballot harvesting, or they're paying homeless people to vote. Now, before you say, Ari, you're a conspiracy theorist, a woman who worked as a longtime signature collector for ballot initiatives pleaded guilty on Monday to paying homeless people in Los Angeles' Skid Row and elsewhere $2 or $3 to register to vote. Brenda Lee Brown Armstrong, 64, of Marina Del Rey, also known as Anika, entered a plea to one count of paying another person to register to vote, a federal charge that carries a penalty of up to 5 years behind bars. Sentencing is scheduled for August 31st. According to her plea agreement, for nearly 20 years, Armstrong periodically worked as a petition circulator. In that role, she was paid by coordinators to collect voter signatures on official petitions that qualify initiatives, referendums, and recalls for California state ballots. Prosecutors say Armstrong drove around the Los Angeles area to find registered voters to sign the petitions. After gathering enough signatures, Armstrong returned them to her coordinators, who then paid her a set amount for each registered voter's signature. The amount she was paid varied depending on the specific ballot initiative. Because her coordinators only paid for signatures attributable to registered voters, Armstrong endeavored to ensure that people who signed her petitions were actually registered voters. She admitted to soliciting signatures in Skid Row, a convenient place for the defendant to collect signatures because of its high concentration of people in a relatively small area who were willing to sign petitions in exchange for cash. She regularly paid amounts between $2 and $3 to induce people to sign her petitions. Who's going to take the money? Who's going to do that for $2 or $3? Most normal people are not going to do that. And you say to yourself, what can you even buy for $2 or $3? I remember how sad it is when I realized $2 or $3 you can't buy much with. I'm like, what happened when you used to have a quarter and you could get a gumball? You get some, right? You can't, I mean, you can still like do that at Walmart or a few places, right?
Was it Lowe's? I saw bricks, 50 cents.
50 cents.
I can't remember the last time I saw something with the cent sign. I think I'm going to get some.
You're allowed to pay in pennies?
Just because it's fun.
Yeah, because why not? Because look,
I almost bought a brick. I was like, you know what? If I had $1, I could get 2 bricks.
You could get 2. Well, if you have $2, you could get 2 fentanyl pills because they're $1 a piece. And you think to yourself, why would anybody want $2? So they could go buy 2 fentanyl pills. So they could buy 3 fentanyl pills. It's not enough for lunch. They still have a $1.99 menu item anymore. I don't think they got that in many places anymore. They even have that at Costco. Something tells me people on Skid Row don't have a Costco membership. Just a hunch.
They're not executive members.
Oh, clearly not. They don't have the special Amex one. No, they don't have that. So this isn't conspiracy theory. This is what this woman was doing. There's video of this. So is anybody surprised when this story comes out that Skid Row residents were paid to vote in the LA mayor's race this last cycle? So you got a whole bunch of videos on social media. One man identified as Kevin Shepard claimed he was paid $4 to vote for Karen Bass. When asked whether he would have been paid to vote for Nathia Rahman, he answered yes. He said they gave me an optional choice, saying he was originally offered $2 but negotiated it up to $4. He said he filled out a mail-in ballot for Bass and deposited it in a ballot box. Secure elections, right? Another resident, Renee Johnson, said she got $5 to vote for Bass. I was just trying to make $5, but I didn't do the fraud. That's what she said. An unidentified woman also admitted to receiving $2 to vote for Bass. She said they come out here all the time talking about ballot harvesters coming out to Skid Row. According to the New York Post, this person who discovered all this said he spent 2 hours speaking with residents who said voter outreach was common on Skid Row before Election Day. Several residents reportedly said groups regularly visit the area seeking signatures on petitions, with some admitting they did not fully understand what they were signing. This is exactly what we were talking about in the Brenda Lee Armstrong case. The exact same thing. Do you think it's not happening here? You think it's not happening in Washington State? Gee, where would I go if I wanted a whole bunch of drugged out people that I could give $1 or $2 that would vote the way I wanted them to go? Just find the nearest homeless encampment here in Seattle. It's getting a little harder in our area. Have you noticed they kind of cleaned out the Seattle center area a little bit?
My game of Frogger down 4th in the morning is getting a little easier.
A little easier. Did you notice where some of them went? Did you notice this? So Kevin and I had this discussion. You know the guys who are usually on the grassy area when you walk to the Space Needle from here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're right behind our parking lot. They're down there. So they just pushed them out of sight, out of mind behind the parking lot over there. Yay, Seattle. Just
I think these homeless who are getting paid need a little wage transparency, It's not equal pay out there for mail-in voting.
Clearly not. Clearly not. Hey, that lady said she made $5. The dude only made, see, women's pay equity happening on the homeless streets right here. Women are making more money than the men in Skid Row. Maybe that's a model we can use for the rest of the U.S. Maybe, just a thought. Just a thought. Well, while all this is going on, we're also incentivizing homelessness. This is no surprise to anybody. We've spent billions, if not trillions of dollars at this point paying for this. I remember an estimate that was done my first year on radio was that Seattle was losing $1 billion on homelessness. And how did they figure that? Now you're like, well, that's easy. That's the money they're spending. No, this was like 5-6 years ago. They did the math by factoring in how many conventions they lost, how many businesses didn't move here on top of all the Homeless Inc. spending. Well, now Homeless Inc.'s party may be over, at least until there's a Democrat administration. The Trump administration's Department of Housing and Urban Development has suspended federal funding to Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority pending an investigation, alleging widespread mismanagement and fraud within the agency. In a letter to the agency, interim CEO Gita O'Neill on Thursday, HUD Deputy Secretary Andrew Hughes wrote, information has come to light demonstrating that the agency may have committed violations of federal law in performing its obligations under HUD grant agreements. Accordingly, HUD's Office of Inspector General has initiated an investigation. HUD has evidence that the agency repeated false statements and its irresponsible actions and failures, including its lack of financial management, internal controls, and safeguards against conflicts of interest, pose a threat to HUD, the public, and those living on the streets of Los Angeles. By the way, that's an important point. You know, every year, the activists out here have a funeral for the people who've died on the streets. I always think to myself, you killed them. You're the ones who, when there's a sweep of a homeless encampment, go set up another encampment for them. Bring them the tents, bring them the supplies. You killed them. You want to do them a favor? Take them to rehab. The best thing you could do for a friend who's going through drug abuse is get them into a program. They're going to want money. They're going to want to live in your house. You got to get them into a program. It's called tough love, my friends. That's what interventions are for. Hughes wrote that HUD had determined that continuing to provide additional federal funds to the agency is not in the public interest. That suspending the agency's participation in federal government programs is a necessary step. He said the failures have been so severe and pervasive that Los Angeles County has withdrawn its funding for the agency, and the city of Los Angeles is considering doing it as well. Think about this for a second. What would it take for Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson to say, I'm not funding Homeless Inc. anymore? What would that actually take? Well, first it would take her having a brain in her giant forehead. First, that would be number one. But number two, I mean, I don't know if hell is actually frozen over yet. But remember, who are the ones talking about cutting off the funding or have cut off the funding? Karen Bass and others like her. So this was happening even before the Trump administration. But what are they all going to cry? They're all going to blame Trump. That's what they're going to do. Even though they're the ones considering cutting off this agency because of the amount of fraud and the amount of problems, they're going to blame Trump. We know they're going to do this. He said the former CEO resigned after she had violated federal conflict of interest rules by committing more than $2 billion in federal funds to her husband's employer. Hey, is Tarra Simmons down there? Is that what's oh, sorry. Can't make those jokes. They also said the former CEO also took the funds, the federal funds, for her own employer. Maybe it is Tarra Simmons. I mean, she's a criminal mastermind. She can't be a criminal mastermind. She keeps getting caught. Maybe she should find a new line of work. I mean, look, politics is pretty close to crime, so I don't think that's working out for her either. She's not very good at that. For all her police reform stuff she wants to do and her criminal justice reform, not a lot of it passes because it's too crazy.
Yeah, but when you carry a tiny animal, it does exude mastermind energy.
Is that what it is? Yes. Yes, mini-me.
Dr. Evil had a cat for a reason. Come on.
Yeah, but did you see that cat? I mean, that cat had issues. I think that was the whole joke of the whole thing, right? I mean, here, okay, we want to do this for real. We want to make fun of Tarra Simmons. I think we need the right kind of music for that, right? Yes, we want to release all the criminals from the jail and give my boyfriend lots of money as I pet my dog. I'll get you, Powers. See? Look, see, it just makes it all the better that way.
I don't know how you had that pulled up so fast.
I think what we should do is now, anytime Tarra Simmons speaks, we just do that. Or should we do Bob Ferguson? I don't know. Bob Ferguson's mastermind plans, right? We just do that every time he speaks. Just hit him with that, right? Is that a good idea, Dr. Evil?
How about no?
Okay, we're not going to do that one then. All right. Fine. So, the HUD said that the examples cited in the letter are not isolated incidents, but rather establish a clear pattern that despite all these failures, the agency has regularly certified to HUD that it is compliant with federal laws. No, they most certainly are not compliant with federal laws. Susan asks over on the KVI studio line, Ari, who is providing the big money to the signature gatherers so they can pay the voter? Okay, so this is the way it's working in California. What's happening in California is it's whoever wants the initiative to pass. This isn't the kind of stuff we're doing here with Let's Go Washington, guys. All right, this is the stuff the Democrats do for their initiatives. So, oh my God, I just had an idea. Let's workshop something on the air. This may be a bad idea because then if there's any of the lefties listening, they're going to know that we're on to them. They have a new initiative coming out, and it's not on our side. It's on the other side. The left is trying to get an initiative on the ballot where they want accountability in the Sound Transit Board. They want the Sound Transit Board to be electable. See where they send signature gatherers, and you're going to know who's voting. and you're going to know how they're voting. Follow the money. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Exactly right. Nostalgic post right here on the KVI line. I remember penny candy. We used to pick up pop bottles from the side of the road on the way to the store and buy penny candy with the money we got from the bottles. You know what my dad used to make me do? In New York, you get the 5 cents for returning the Coke cans or whatever else it is. Bags of these would just be sitting somewhere in the house, and one day Dad would go, take it down, you can keep all the money you get from this. And I would just be pouring this in, but as you're doing it, as you're putting them in the machine, little bits of soda, old sodas just dribbling down. I can still hear the crunch the machine made. I can still hear that noise. What I do it for like $1, because back then I could buy baseball cards or whatever else. And this was the 90s. I could buy whatever. I would end up with like $5, $10 maybe. That's how much of this stuff was sitting around. Yeah, that's nostalgic, but I'm not sure it's the best idea. But now you understand, if you were that motivated to go get this candy you got from that, now imagine a drug addict who's getting drug candy. That's why they're motivated to do this kind of stuff. You think it's not happening here? I pretty much guarantee you this is happening here. You know what I think I should do? I think I should file a public disclosure request with the exact same parameters I had last time, and then find out how many of those ballots are actually getting returned this time. That's what I think it is. We talk about voter fraud. This is the kind of stuff that I think the left has down to a science. Now, while you're out there signing the Let's Go Washington initiative to repeal the income tax, and if you haven't done that yet, go to letsgowashington.com, find a location. It won't be in Skid Row because we're honest about what we're doing. So what you do is you go there, you find a signing location, but also you can have the form sent to you so you can fill out the form to repeal the income tax. Somebody asked me yesterday, they said, Ari, why can't we just download it from the internet and print it up? They have to be a certain size. They have to be certain dimensions. That's why.
If you need help finding that website or where to go, just text us, 206-421-5757. I will send you the link directly.
There we go. Zach will do that. He'll send it right on over to you. You'll have the link. So you just do that. Zach will send it to you. You get these things in the mail. You send them right back. By the way, Zach, I turned in your signature the other day when I did that. So I took yours. I had my in-laws sign on the same sheet, a whole bunch. See what I did? I filled out a whole sheet just by having the people I know sign the thing. And I turned in, 15, 20 signatures to Let's Go Washington. Real simple, real is easy. Now, this is going so well that we gave you the story yesterday about the guy in Puyallup Safeway who stole a sheet of the signature gatherers. Here's a little bit of audio of that incident before he assaulted the signature gatherer.
Don't do it. Yep. Give me these boards back. These people want to be... These people...
Illegally. So he's talking to the store manager trying to say, well, they're doing it illegally, so they shouldn't be allowed to do this.
We have no... My assistant store manager... So do you want these or do you want me to take them?
You cannot take those. What are you doing?
That's after he assaulted her. She followed him out to the truck, and he drove away with the signature sheets. Well, apparently the guy's been arrested. We don't have his ID yet, but the guy was arrested. Thank God it happened in Pierce County, because who's the sheriff in Pierce County, and who's going to make sure this guy gets arrested? That's Keith Swank. So the guy is apparently in custody. I don't know about charging decisions yet. I'm actually waiting on the information. Maybe I'll reach out to Keith Swank and see if they have the information yet, and we'll bring you the details tomorrow when we do have them, because I want to make sure we hold people accountable who do this kind of stuff illegally and who actually are the ones who are assaulting, or allegedly, I have to say allegedly assaulting, even though it's caught on camera, the signature gatherers. We got to hold those people accountable because we do things the right way. This is what the other side is doing. Up next, my friends, Katie Wilson has a big press conference. Tell you how ready we are for the World Cup, and I'm not that encouraged by it. Tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Earlier today, Seattle Marxist Mayor Katie Wilson had a press conference together with the city attorney, together with Deborah Juarez, who is a city council member, and together with the police chief. What was their big thing? All right, guys, we got this. We got this. We know there's a ton of pimp violence and gang violence up in North Seattle. We got this. Don't worry about it. We know we've gone viral nationally because people feel so unsafe up there, they close their own streets and put up barricades. Just like Les Mis. It's like the modern day Les Mis right there in front of you. We know things are bad. We know it's going viral, but we got it. We got it. We got this. You don't got it. You don't got it. Okay, let's go with the big reveals that happened at this thing. What are the big reveals? Okay, ready? Here we go. The mayor said she had instructed the Seattle Department of Transportation to close specific streets in the area, including North 102nd, 100th, 98th, and 96. The Seattle Department of Transportation will also take traffic calming measures that will make it more difficult for cars to circle the area. Oh, you're putting in speed bumps? So you're going to fight crime with speed bumps. Just making sure I got that.
Generating road rage is always the key to a safe city.
Yes, that'll make people happy. The people who live there having their streets closed will do it. How about you enforce the law? How about you hire more police officers? How about you prosecute offenders? How about you actually don't do this nonsense, which you guys did, where you said, we're not going to enforce any of those prostitution laws. You know this is all performative. She's saying it for the World Cup, right? She also directed SPD to perform focused enforcement to remove guns, identify repeat offenders, and continue working with prosecutors and the Seattle City Attorney. Is the Seattle City Attorney prosecuting gun crimes now? Because last time I checked, those are felonies. Those are big boy crimes. SPD Chief Sean Barnes, Chief Wiggum, said the neighborhoods would have 2 dedicated officers to patrol the area at night. Wow. 2 officers for a gang war in North Seattle where they're spraying the neighborhood with bullets. 2 police officers.
I'm going to take it they don't have a lot of volunteers for that position right now.
Well, I'm going to take it they don't have a lot of guys to even ask to volunteer for that position would be my guess. All right, big stuff we're doing here, guys. Big stuff. The world is watching. Okay. Seattle City Attorney Eric Evans had warnings for people committing or enabling crimes, according to Como News. She said Johns or buyers coming to Aurora Avenue to buy children or people would be arrested and prosecuted. How? You only have 2 police officers. And you have 2 police officers. And you only have 2 police officers! So how do you plan on carrying this out, you morons? Sorry, just laying it out there. Also, do you think maybe now you running on not prosecuting crime may have been a bad idea?
Well, they sent those warning letters out prior. Remember
That's
that?
right. Remember that, where they had this brilliant idea where they're going to send letters to people whose license plates are spotted in the area, hoping their wives stop them from getting prostitutes. Right? That's what it is? Okay, just making sure I got that right. Motels, bars, and businesses that allow criminal activity on their premises would be shut down. How do you know? How do you know? I mean, I've been in some hotels sometimes, and I see a lady walking past, and I go, oh, somebody ordered that lady or something. I've seen that before.
Yeah, I mean, we're not running John Wick's Continental out here.
Right, exactly. So, okay, I got a question. Why are you doing all this now? Why are you doing all this now, and you didn't do this beforehand? And there's only one reason why. It's for the World Cup. It's because PR is so bad, and the residents of North Seattle are screaming their heads off to any media station that will listen about how bad it is. I mean, the guy we interviewed here, he was on Fox. He was on everything before we even had him on the show. All these guys are being interviewed all the time. And then when you have a march where hundreds of residents come out in a blue city like Seattle, these people, a lot of them are not conservatives, my friends. My guess would be it's around the same voting as Seattle. What percentage of Seattle voted for Donald Trump? 7%? So I'm guessing most of these people are not Republicans. So do you think any of this is going to work? My guess would be no. My guess is none of this is actually going to work. But they're going to make a show of it. By the way, this is not the reason ticket sales are down for the World Cup. This is not the reason hotel reservations are down for the World Cup. In fact, you guys just made it worse. Now all these ladies of the night who want to rent hotels, you're not going to let them rent the hotels. No, the reason these reservations are down, I think the real reason is not the crime, not Seattle's bad PR. I think it's just that Americans don't like the soccer. And I think it's that Americans don't want to travel for the soccer. I think that's more what it is than anything else. And then you factor that in with, I want to go to Seattle to see Iran play Egypt on Pride Night in Seattle. Well, I mean, I kind of want to watch it because I want to watch the train wreck. I'm like that meme of the dude eating the popcorn on the couch.
We're not interested in the football.
No, we are not interested in the foosball. Definitely not. I just want to see what it's going to be like outside the stadium. I don't even need to buy a ticket. Kevin was telling me the prices for the tickets have gone down. I don't even need to buy a ticket. Don't even need to do it. We're just going to watch this train wreck happen outside. You know what I'm going to do? The game starts at 5, right? So the excitement's before the game, right? Why don't we just do man on the street? We'll just send you down there. Then I don't have to go at all.
Send me.
That's what we're going to do.
Send me.
We're going to send young Zach
Hey, you know
down
this
there.
thing that might get dicey? Well, before you know it, you're going to volunteer me to go work Aurora with the 2 cops.
No. You're not working. You're observing, Zach. It's a ride-along, it's called, okay? You go do that. Oh, wait, I got a different idea.
Ride along what, my Lime scooter?
Well, yeah, we'll do that too. No, I got a different idea. Wait, if there's 2 cops and young Zach, that means there's only 2 seats in the front seat of the police cruiser, which means whoever they get is sitting in the back with Zach when they're driving them along. No. I think I'm just going to call Cho. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, hey, Jonathan, buddy, got a thing for you.
We're getting somewhere.
You want to be an on-the-street correspondent for Iran versus Egypt during Pride Fest for the World Cup?
Oh, Ernie says I should want to go and enjoy a nice hot dog from a cart out front.
A hot dog? It's a hot dog. It's not a... Yeah, we'll see how many hot dog carts... Oh, my God. We haven't even discussed this in forever. How many hot dog carts
so many
are going to be...
So many.
Well, I don't know, Zach. I drove past the area today. It's getting a little bit more secure. So I wonder if they're going to allow the hot dogs over there.
I think they will get as close as they can. And a lot of it's going to come down to watch parties, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Hot dog. Yeah, we'll see them back near Starbucks because nobody's in that building anymore. They can just set up in that parking lot.
Did you see? Oh, yeah. I mean, the amount of lipstick on the pig, I'll call it, that the city has done on all these vacant buildings, mainly the retail stores I've noticed around Westlake.
Yep.
They kind of make it look like, oh, we decorated. It's like, no. You just swap cardboard for vinyl decals about how great our city is.
Right.
Even though all these buildings are vacant because no one really enjoys being here.
I love the Starbucks that was right across from Westlake, which is wrapped in that like welcome to Seattle thing.
They turned their bug into a feature.
Exactly. There's no business there. They just plastered everything over. And by the way, they did it badly. You know how I know this? I used to be in a business in New York where you sell advertising for empty storefronts, for foot traffic. They didn't even contact one of those guys. They paid to have the buildings wrapped rather than get somebody to pay them for the advertising. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends, including are we bombing Iran or not, and also how the Republicans are going to go head-to-head with Graham Plattner and the Democrats. Tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Well, the Oystergruppenführer is actually the Democrat nominee up in Maine, and the Democrats are all lining up behind him, which is beyond insane. So, yes, we want to beat the most moderate Republican in the Senate. So let's pick the guy with the Nazi tattoo who allegedly abuses women and is on a pedophile app. And that's just scratching the surface. Joining us now to discuss this insanity, Sam Markstein, who's the National Political Director for the Republican Jewish Coalition. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks, Ari. Great to be with you as always.
Great to have you back, man. All right. This is like shooting fish in a barrel right here. I mean, you have a perfect opportunity to say Democrats are crazy. Is he going to be the main focus of this election for you guys?
He is going to be one of our top targets, the main Senate race and defending Susan Collins. I mean, you started it right there. Graham Plattner is SS tattooed, Schumer endorsed, and squad approved. And we condemn in the strongest possible terms Graham Plattner's candidacy. This is a man who walked around with a Nazi SS tattoo emblazoned on his chest for 18 years and now expects Maine voters to send him to the U.S. Senate. And let's be clear, you know, a Nazi tattoo is totally disqualifying. And it's an absolute shanda, an absolute shame and a disgrace that Chuck Schumer, the highest-ranking Jewish elected official in America, and the other Senate Democrats propping up Plattner's campaign continue to support this guy. And we have called on them to rescind their support immediately. And that, you know, it's totally unacceptable and an outrage that in today's Democratic Party, this is even a conversation.
There's something that ticks me off, Sam, which is people saying, well, it's a both sides issue. I mean, you got the far right and the far left. And I say the right is getting rid of this problem with every primary. We're expelling more and more of these people. President Trump is not backing these kind of people. But on the other side, you've got Pocahontas, you've got Chuck Schumer, you've got all the Democrats backing Graham Plattner.
There's no question about that. And with the RJC's help, the Republican Party is the only party where Jewish Americans can be proudly Jewish and loudly pro-Israel. It's, as you said, it's been proven time and again. We just saw it in Kentucky's 4th District with getting rid of Thomas Massey. We saw it in other races around the country over the last couple of years that Republicans have taken this issue very seriously to head on. The Democrats, on the other hand, as you suggested, have allowed this to fester and metastasize and turn into a serious, full-blown problem for them. As I like to say, the Democrats have a 105-degree fever, and Republicans have a bit of a sore throat, but our antibodies have kicked in. The immune system is very strong, and we're fighting back and fighting back hard. And as I've said before, this is a no-fail mission. It's something we absolutely have to win, and those who really want to imperil any of this in the Republican Party will have to go to the RJC first.
Yeah. And I'm watching what you guys are doing. You're doing great work, and you're calling it out on both sides, which is really great. Yet, meanwhile, I see on the left, they're embracing the Nazi. Now, I do have a concern. It's that in this race, the Democrats are running not just the Nazi guy, who also allegedly beats up women and has all those other problems, but they're also running a guy who's a member of Al-Qaeda. They're running another guy who's a Hamas supporter, and this seems to be the new direction the Democrat Party is going in. What I'm actually worried about is all the flack is directed at Graham Plattner, and it doesn't seem like as many efforts are going towards the Al-Qaeda guy and the Hamas guy.
Yeah, I mean, and just to put a fine point on this, you're referring to Adam Hamawi in New Jersey's 12th district, who is now going to be a member of Congress. It's a very, very blue district. The primary is basically the general election. And listen to this. This guy drove the blind sheikh 13 hours to a conference, visited his home, and testified as a defense witness at a terrorism trial. Then it came out that he volunteered for a medical organization that was later revealed to be an Al-Qaeda front. And while threatening letters were being sent to Jewish organizations in the district, this guy was busy rallying with Hassan Piker, who said that America deserved 9/11. And you know who immediately endorsed him and embraced him? Hakeem Jeffries. So that's just the start of it. And if you look over at Michigan, like you suggested, this leading candidate in Michigan for the United States Senate, which could very well be the deciding seat in who controls the Senate majority, just today it was revealed that one of Abdul El-Sayed's staffers was indicted by the FBI for violence related to October the 7th and the anniversary and all the anti-Israel nonsense going on in Michigan. So this is a full-blown red alarm in the Democratic Party, and yet they seem content to continue to appease and embrace and endorse this madness when they really need to be showing some leadership, which is exactly what you're seeing in the Republican Party.
We're talking with Sam Markstein, who is the National Political Director and Communications Director for the Republican Jewish Coalition. And Sam, I get this question all the time. I'm sure you get this question all the time. We had our friend Batya Ungar-Sargon on the show who just wrote a book about it. It's about how many Jews still vote Democrat. And what I keep saying is there's a whole bunch of my friends who used to be pretty lefty Jews but felt politically homeless in the last 3 years since October 7th and have been finding their way sometimes to the Republican Party, sometimes away from the Democrat Party. Are you seeing the same thing on a national scale?
There's no question about it. And just like President Trump won with a silent majority in his elections, there's absolutely a silent group of Jewish Americans who might not show up in the polls. But when it comes down to it, especially in these key battleground states like Arizona and Michigan and Nevada and Pennsylvania and Ohio, places that really determine who wins the presidency and who wins some of these key Senate and House races, Republicans have gotten historic numbers. You have to go all the way back to the 1980s to find numbers this strong for Republicans from the Jewish community. And given all the craziness going on in the Democratic Party right now, I absolutely predict an acceleration of this trend of Jewish voters away from the Democratic Party in 2028, in 2030, and frankly, in the midterms here as well. I think that we are conventional wisdom says that Republicans have a lot of headwinds this year. I actually am pretty bullish on where we're going to be this year, but absolutely, to your point, Jewish Americans, time after time, cycle after cycle, are moving more and more to the Republican Party, and it's only accelerated over the last few years because of what the Democrats are doing and also what Republicans are doing on the positive side of things to bring them in and to prove that there is a political home for them, and it's in the Republican Party.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Sam Markstein, National Political Director and Communications Director for the Republican Jewish Coalition. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really do appreciate it.
Keep the fight going.
All right. Great to talk to you, buddy. Have a great Shabbos. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. It is time to feel good as we wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And how about them Knicks, huh? How about them Knicks? I got to say, there's actually a very cool video online if you didn't watch the game last night. Barstool Sports shared it. They have the last 5 minutes of the game with no announcers, just the sounds of the game. It's a really pure way to watch basketball and be in the fan experience. I actually want to put this on a bigger screen when I get home and watch it because it's pretty awesome. So Barstool Sports has that up there. If you don't know what happened, the Knicks and Spurs set a new NBA record on Wednesday night, but only one team's actually going to be proud of it. According to Sporting News, the Spurs blew a 29-point lead in the second half of Game 4 in the NBA Finals, letting the Knicks gradually creep back into the game before a tip-in by, I can't pronounce this guy's name. I'm not going to pretend I know their names. OG Anunoby, right? That's his name? Anunoby, right. Gave New York its second and final lead of the night with 1.2 seconds remaining. And I will say this, even though I'm a lapsed Knicks fan, the Knicks didn't win that game. The Spurs lost that game. Why aren't you guys? Why are you shooting threes the whole time? Just keep driving and build up your lead. Instead, you guys handed it over to the Knicks. I mean, kudos to the Knicks for coming back that much, but the Spurs basically handed it to them. The last 2 seconds, the last 5 seconds, 5.49 seconds, if I recall correctly, of that game, really something to watch.
For those unfamiliar with sports terminology, we call that cooging it.
I call it just being a Mets fan, but these things happen, you know. Anywho, just as the NBA Finals comebacks across a full series are measured against the Cavaliers' 3-1 comeback against the Warriors, all single NBA Finals comebacks for years to come are set to be measured against the Knicks' 29-point turnaround against the Spurs because it is now taking the place as the top one. So this game, Knicks-Spurs last night, comeback was 29 points. In 2008, Game 4, Celtics-Lakers, 24 points. 1995, Rockets-Magic. I remember that game. That was 20 points. So, new record, and Spurs ain't going to be happy about that one. Only 3 teams have overcome a deficit of at least 20 points in the NBA Finals, and that number stood at just 2 before Wednesday night. So, now I have to do some looking. What are the odds of a team winning the whole thing when they're down 3-1 and they're at the home of the other place?
Well, if it was 3-0, no team has ever come back from a 3-0.
That one I think
there's a handful that have come back from 3-1.
I think you're right. Nobody's ever come back from a 3-0.
So you know the Knicks are obviously famous for their celebrity row.
Yes.
Did you see what celebrity was relegated to the cheap seats?
Zoran Mamdani?
No, well, that was very cheap seats. Washington's own Sydney Sweeney, 3 rows back.
Oh,
not good
no.
Not good enough for courtside.
Oh, no. There is this... Out where she lives, I think where her grandma lives too, but out where she lives, there's this coffee shop apparently she goes to all the time. People keep taking pictures because they're running into her with the selfie thing. This is all because we met grandma out at the Washington State Fair, that now this stuff keeps popping up in my feed all the time, I guess. Or maybe it's local or something. Who knows? Anywho. So, yeah, the celebrity row is something. Do you know they choose the owners like, hey, here's the raffle for who wants to be in this thing and then gives out the tickets accordingly? It's something like that?
I don't really know.
So it's something about... They have a raffle, you enter your name, and then you get the privilege of spending the gajillion dollars on the tickets.
Gotcha.
But there's some who have their season's tickets, right? But then last night, the most ridiculous moment was Taylor Swift dancing down on the side while the team's down by 20 points and she's in a Knicks jersey.
Pick a city, woman.
Yeah, stop showing up. Okay, just stop. You're a jinx on everybody. I mean, maybe that was broken last night. Like Zoran Mamdani. He wasn't there last night. You know how I know that? Because they won the game. The curse of the Mamdani is a real thing. Absolutely a real thing, my friends. Oh, and you know how I can prove this? What happened outside? That was Zoran Mamdani's block party, which turned to hell and cabs are getting turned over. Can you imagine what's going to happen if they actually win the finals and the whole city goes up in flames? Well, I mean, he's an Islamic radical, so I think that's kind of what he wants. Oh, now I see the game. Zoran Mamdani wants the Knicks to win so that there's a riot in New York City and the whole city burns down. Oh, now I understand. Okay, now I'm with you. Next game is not tonight. I believe it's tomorrow night, right?
Yeah, Saturday. It's Saturday.
It's Saturday?
Yeah.
Saturday night. Well, that sucks for the Jews. Okay. Ain't going to be watching that game, then. That's going to be a problem. That's going to be going up to the synagogue security guard. Who's winning? Who's winning? Who's winning? Who's winning? I see how this goes.
Like you care.
Well, I mean, it is the last game.
I
might care a little bit about that one. That's going to do it for us today, my friends, but fear not. We will be back tomorrow with more insane stories and more exciting guests. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.